Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. This video is going to be the meat and potatoes of our last live stream, and I will be discussing what you need to do in order to know how much power you would need to run your home during a power outage, be it short or long. But first, I have to tell you that OUPES is having a great sale that extends only to the AP community. Until tonight, if you use my code Alaska, you will save 20% off of the already discounted price of the Legacy OUPES 2400 watt. This is the only unit that they could offer a savings on right now because they are having a sale on everything starting on 7 March. But I can tell you this, that even during their next big sale, the price on this OUPES will not be as low as it is right now. So if you are in the market for a solar generator, take a look at the OUPES 2400. I will leave a card on the upper right hand corner of this video that will take you to the review video of this same unit, and you will see why it is that I call it the beast. Now let's get to the meat and potatoes of last Friday's live stream. If you want to find out what size generator do I need, be it a solar generator, be it a regular gas generator, gasoline, liquid propane, natural gas, whatever, right? Diesel. What size, how much power do you need in order to run your home? Now, one thing that you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that during a power outage, especially if it's a power outage that's going to be extended in time, you know, let's say a week or 2 or 3, right? Or a month, let's say, you know, which is what a lot of people are saying on the internet that's going to happen with cyber attacks or EMPs or stuff like that, right? What you need to understand is that it's not life as usual, all right? Unless you're one of these billionaires or millionaires that has a bunker that has, you know, a 5,000-gallon fuel tank, etc., buried and all that kind of stuff, it's not going to be life as usual for the layman, for your average person out there, okay? So I'm going to tell you what it is that I do whenever the power goes out, what I do in order to keep my house running. It's going to be those things that are critical to your home to run well, meaning that it's going to go ahead and sustain life. So for example, in Alaska, in the winter time, it's very important that we have power, especially if you don't have a wood stove. I don't have a wood stove in my house. So I really need to make sure that I have a backup for power in order to make sure that I can operate the peripherals for my heater, for my home heater. My home heater is a Toyotomi 730, which is a fuel oil heater. It uses fuel oil for the heat source, for the energy, but it has a motherboard. It has a fuel pump in it. It has a fan, that it needs to run. When it starts up, it has a glow plug that's used to heat up the area before it starts pumping in the heating oil. So it has those peripherals that need electricity in order to run. So what I do is I make sure that I figure out all of those things that are critical to my house. So my heater is critical. My refrigerator is critical because we don't want the food in there to go bad. My freezer, same thing. It's critical. We don't want the food in there to go bad. We want to make sure that we have some lights, okay? And I also like to make sure that I can run my water pump. That way, if we need to use the toilet or the sink or whatever, we can, okay? So we have to take all of those things that we feel are critical to sustain our standard of living, even though it'll be a little bit lower for a period of time, figure out how much wattage those things use at their max, so at their surge. So let's say, for example, that you have a refrigerator, and normally it uses, let's say, 400 watts, right? When it's running the compressor and when it's running the fans and all that kind of stuff, let's say it uses 400 watts, which is kind of high, really, to tell you the truth, for a refrigerator. But let's say that's what it is. Well, you don't want to find out what it uses when it's running steady. You want to find out what it uses when it surges. So when it first starts, and let's say it uses 650 watts at startup, and then it settles down in about 2 or 3 seconds to 400 or whatever it may be, right? That's what you want to find out. It's the surge, okay? So what I do is I get a calculator. I go to my Toyo. I've got 2 Toyos. I got one in my main house and I've got one under the house that keeps my utilities warm, my water tanks, my pipes, etc. under the house. All right. So I've got 2 of them. So those surge at about 400 watts, and I always round up. All right. I'm very conservative with the numbers, so I always round up to make sure that I'm giving myself plenty of space, plenty of room. Okay. So it's about 400 watts for each Toyo. So you're looking at 800 watts for both of my heaters. Okay. For my refrigerator and my freezer, they're both about the same. They both top out at about 600 watts. So you're looking at 1200 watts plus 800 watts. Now my water pump downstairs, that thing is like 1200 watts. Okay. So you're looking at about 3200 watts all together. And then if you take into consideration a few lights here and there, let's say 100 watts max. Okay. So you're looking at about what, 32, 33, let's say 3500 watts all together for me to be able to run everything that I need for my family to be comfortable during a power outage. Okay. So now what I do is let's say I'm at 3,500 watts. My rule of thumb is to always add about half of what I need on top of what I need. So I multiply that 3,500 times 1.5. That comes out to about 5,200 watts. So for me to be comfortable running my house steady, I would need 5,200 watts of electricity coming in at all times. All right. And that's if I'm using one generator. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to buy me a generator. If I'm buying a gas generator, that's at least a 5,000, 5,500 watt generator. And that's going to cover all of the things that I need. And AP, how do you know how many watts your refrigerator uses or your Toyo stove uses or something like that? Well, I have this little device. This is a watt meter. Okay. And you can pick this up on Amazon. And if you want to check out my Amazon storefront, this should be in there. I think they're like 19 bucks or 20 bucks. When I bought it, I think it was like 19.95, but I've had it for a couple of years. So it might be 25 bucks now. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while, but this little watt meter, it's very easy to use. I do believe that I put out a video here a while back where I showed you how to use this. And I was talking about what I'm talking about now. And what this is you hook this into the wall, all right, into your AC. And then whatever device or appliance you have that you want to find out how many watts it uses continuously, you plug into this. And as soon as you plug this into the wall, it's going to light up. And it's going to tell you how many watts your appliance is using on a continuous basis. Once you're done, recording, it'll tell you what was the highest number of watts that it used at any one time. It'll tell you what the average was, and it'll tell you what the total was, and it'll tell you how much time you had this connected for. All right. So this little thing will tell you everything you need to know. So you go around your house and you hook this up to every appliance that you're going to need to run during a power outage, and you add up your highest wattage output at any one time. You add them all up. After that, if you want to, you don't have to. This is what I do. After you add up all the wattage that you're going to need to use during a power outage, you multiply it times 1.5, and that's the size generator you're going to need if you're going to use only one generator to power all that stuff. I always recommend that you first get a gasoline or a propane powered generator before you get a solar generator. But if you can get both either at the same time or at separate times, I believe that they both complement each other very well, especially if you're going to have a long-term power outage. A solar generator and a gas generator both complement each other very well. You actually end up saving gas if you use them both together. If you know how to convert amperage and voltage into wattage, you don't need this tool, okay? So if you want to convert something into watts, it's very easy. Like, let's say you take a look at the back of your refrigerator and it says, okay, it uses 10 amps. Oh, well, what does that mean? It uses 10 amps, right? And I don't think that a refrigerator is going to use 10 amps because that's really a lot. But let's just say that, all right, to use a simple number. So how do you convert 10 amps into watts? Well, if you take your amps and you multiply it times the number of volts that are coming out of your AC outlet, all right, in the US, your AC outlet, I think is 110 or 120. but let's go with 120. Easy, right? So you take your amperage and you multiply it times your volts. That's how many watts that appliance uses. So if you ever wondering that this appliance says that it uses 5 amps, it uses 600 watts, roughly 600 watts. Okay. So you don't have to have this. This is just very nice because it allows you to see what the surge is and what the mean or average is that you're using over time. That way you have a very good understanding of how much power you're going to need. Right. But that's how you convert amps and voltage into watts. It's very simple. So you don't need that tool. I would recommend that you get it. It's 20 bucks. 20 bucks is a great tool you can use all the time for whatever you need it for.